Tammy Wynette is in the top 10 on one list, but in another list, she's at number 49 of 50. Like Divorce, Divorce. That's, and then you've got things from people like Delta Spirit, never heard of them. And Vice Chestnut, never heard of them. Songs like Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven. Again, extremely sad song. Not your typical love song, but it is a song about love. It's about, because his son, I think it's about his son. His son fell out of a high, I don't know, top floor or something like that. It was like 40 or 50 or 60 floors up back in the early 90s. And that's what that song, Tears in Heaven, came from. Because his son, how old was his son? Was like 3 or 4 or 5. He was not more than 5. If I remember what happened at the time, I think he was like 5? 4 or 5. Not older than 5 for sure. But this happened in 90? Well, you know what? Let's go look. A 4-year-old son fell out the 53rd floor window back in 1991. And he wrote the Tears in Heaven song in reference to his son. Can you really get more sad than that? And again, it's not what you would think is your love song, but obviously it's about the love that he had for his son. His son's name was Connor. There is quite a few country songs on this list, and again, I don't. One of the songs here is Sinead O'Connor's "Nothing Compares to You," and I was never a Sinead O'Connor fan. And so I'm never gonna. No, not gonna. I don't even know why that's in there. She's like a Alanis Morissette. Alanis Morissette just grates on me. I know a lot of people like Alanis Morissette, but I could not stand Alanis Morissette. Amy Winehouse is on the list, and there's a lot of some of these songs I've never heard of. Some of the artists I've never heard of. But Cats in the Cradle. Again, not a real love song, but it is about love. Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle. And I know I probably shouldn't say this about Roy. I was never a Roy Orbison fan either. I put him on the level of a Bob Dylan. Now, obviously, he was very popular. People loved him to death. He was very successful, very popular until he passed away early. And Bob Dylan's still around, but crying? Nah, I wouldn't have put that on the list. Wouldn't have put it at all. But going all the way back to Etta James. All I Could Do Was Cry is on the list. REM. Most of the list, they're absent, but Everybody Hurts. Sad song. Hallelujah. I don't know why it's sad, but Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That song from, what was it, Shrek? It is kind of sad, I guess, but anyway, you can check out all those wonderful things. But in this particular list, Sufjan Stevens has the number 1 sad song of all time, Kashmir Pulaski Day. That's way before my time, I'm going to guess, because I don't know that one. But we are in the holiday spirit. So how about some of the best Christmas songs of all time? And of course, these are, more or less modernistic versions of Christmas songs, like Merry Christmas from the Ramones, and Space Christmas by Shonen Knife. Little Drummer Boy by Lauryn Hill. Can you imagine Lauryn Hill singing Little Drummer Boy? Now, that woman's got a voice, too. Some people will probably remember her. You don't really... in Whoopi Goldberg's movie, Sister Act. Yeah, that young girl that had the voice. Yeah, that's Lauryn Hill. Sister Act, by the way, that's kind of a winter movie. It's like a... they don't play it a lot during Christmas, but I've noticed they seem to play it a lot around the time, or late winter, early spring, around the time that they want to play the Wizard of Oz. Just before Wizard of Oz starts to, kick up, they play Sister Act. It's around the Easter time, I guess. But and just Google those lists if you want. If you want to agree or disagree, there you go. But Harry Nilsson's song is in the top 10 in my book. I Can't Live Without You is one of the saddest love songs ever written and sung. It is. It's on YouTube. Every song is on YouTube right now, I guess. So you can listen to it. Go listen to it if you want a good cry. Back into the real stuff. It's something that's sad, though. But it's sad for not the reason that you're originally going to think. That you're going to think at first. Here's a story out of South Carolina. The town of North, South Carolina. Their entire police department resigned after the chief of police outlined issues with the newly elected mayor, and then he resigned. After he resigned, the entire police department resigned. Every single officer. All officers are gone in the town of North, South Carolina. Who names these towns? Where do you live? Oh, I live in North South Carolina. That's kind of like what, what's his name? Kanye did. Named his daughter Northwest. Are you kidding me? So we've got a real town called North, South Carolina. Okay. In any case, their entire police department just quit. Now, your original first reaction is, oh my God, that's a terrible thing. But no, here's the terrible thing. The terrible thing is that the people of North South Carolina don't feel safe because there isn't somebody riding around in a cruiser. Like, I just told you at the top of the last hour that's not the police. The job of the police is not to make you feel safe. It is not to prevent crime. Crime is going to happen. The only way you can prevent crime is by punishing those who've already committed a crime. And you make it so expensive to the criminal that people will think twice before committing a crime. And expensive, I mean, you go to jail. So if you're a burglar and you go into this town and in a particular state, that burglars are getting 20 years in jail when they're caught. And the vast majority of them are caught after they've burgled somebody's residence or business. They get caught. They didn't get stopped during the act. They didn't get prevented from doing it. They got caught after they did it. And they go to jail for 20 years. Well, the next person comes along and says, well, you know what? Believe it or not, a lot of criminals do think about this. People realize, look, they catch people after they do this kind of stuff, and they go to jail for a long time. That's expensive. That kind of expensive. That's preventative. Well, this police chief and his crew over the past 14 years has brought down violent crime by 60%, so says this report on WLXT.com. But he's a 14-year police chief veteran, and he's worked with two other mayors But then, just 2 days ago, on December 1st, he resigned, stating issues with the new mayor of Patty Carson. And this is the reason why. And he's saying for her to be directing procedures that were contrary to national standards, that was going to cause a problem, said former police chief Mark Fallow, Fallaw. So I just said it was best for me to probably step down. Now, Fallow says Carson issued a gag order on the department saying that they were not able to speak to media members and she would handle all media requests. Now, when have you known a mayor to do that? We're talking South Carolina here. Now, Fallow says the new mayor also requested a 2-week notice on any public appearances and also wanted to monitor incoming and outgoing department emails. Well, I don't know why the mayor would be monitoring them, but, people do monitor stuff like that. Now, with no force to now patrol the town, the county has had to take over. In a statement, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office says the agency is answering calls and responding to those calls until further notice. Now, business owner Russell Jeffcoat says residents are also keeping quiet on this issue, but there is concern in the town. There's concern. Because without a police present or without the county being present more often, it gives us concerns for our safety and for the business's safety as well. That's why I said you've got to look, there was full-time police presence out there in San Bernardino, and 14 people died. I'm telling you, it's not you're responsible for your own safety. When you turn it over to somebody else, you're going to be in trouble. Now, if the town of South Carolina, turned over all of its safety to its police department, and now its police department decided to say that, well, we can't deal with this new mayor, so we're quitting, what have you done? Now, I'm not faulting the police department, because if they cannot follow the rules, no matter, well, if the rules are stupid and you really try to change them, but if you cannot follow the rules for whatever reason, then yeah, you have to leave that job. If that job is not going to make you happy, if you cannot do the job, then you have to leave it. If they cannot do their job, cops or whatever, then they can't be cops anymore, at least not in that jurisdiction. Go find another job. Do something that you can do. But when you have an entire department just up and walk out in one day, and now you don't feel, look, I feel perfectly safe. And my entire town's police department could quit tomorrow, and I'm still going to feel safe because I take precautions and I take my safety into my own hands. I do not depend on somebody else. You can't either. You can't depend on somebody else. I don't know why you would possibly do that. You're talking about your life and your family's life. Why would you entrust that to somebody else when you're the one that is best equipped to do that, because you know your family better than anybody else? You care about your family better than anybody else. Why would you let somebody else take over that important job? I don't understand when people do that. I don't understand why they do that. Oh yeah, we're just gonna let somebody else, take over everything in our life, our safety, everything. Government. And the government isn't even keeping the nation safe by keeping criminals, and that's exactly what illegal aliens are, criminals, out of our country, when that's what they're constitutionally charged with doing. And you want that same government then to be your only protector? No wonder so many people feel unsafe. Really. We'll be right back.